Well, we do have somebody on the phone, Mr. Tom Trento, who is the founder of The United West and the DefendTheBorder.org Tom Homan project. And Tom is going to talk with us today about the border. Tom, welcome.
Hey, welcome, guys. I don't know if I'm going to stay on. I get on the phone and you're ripping an old lady, a poor old lady that's retired and on Social Security. You're going after old ladies now. I don't know, man.
I'm sorry, Tom.
Hillary a colostomy bag, too.
Hillary Clinton is proof that God exists because you look at her life, and I've been dealing with her life from the beginning, 30 years or whatever, and you go, how could there be a God to allow all of this? Because in the life to come, all that stuff gets taken care of. Hillary Clinton is proof that God exists. That's an
interesting angle. Okay? I like that, Tom.
Yep. Divine justice. Poor Bill. How'd you like to be married? How'd you like to be married to her? Yeah, figured out by now how to work the scams and all that. But you're in your twilight years. Your health's fading, Bill. You don't have the energy to, and you got to wake up with her every morning. Oh my God. Anyway, so how you guys doing?
We're doing great, man. We're doing great. Good. Now you've actually added some levity to this. Very good. Thank you. Scary, but good to think.
Scary, yeah.
So, Tom, you have a new project you're working on. It's called DefendTheBorder.org. And Al, go ahead. You have some questions for Tom.
Well, now, Tom, tell us a little bit about the United West real briefly so people can go to theunitedwest.org and defendtheborder.org to learn a little bit more about you and the work that you're doing, the very important work that you're doing regarding national security issues.
All right. 21 years and one day ago, I was about 50 feet from where I am, which was about 2,000 feet from Muhammad Atta, and my life changed. So if your audience didn't get that, I'll say that one more time. 21 years and a day ago, September 11th, 2001, I was 50 feet from where I am. I was sitting on a couch in my living room in my home in Florida. And unbeknownst to me, my home was 2,000 feet. I measured it from Muhammad Atta's apartment that he left to go up to Boston on a couple days before 9/11. Didn't know who Muhammad Atta was. Didn't know he lived 2,000 feet from my house. But I did watch the two buildings come down. And I had a background in the theology of Islam. I'm a trained evangelical Christian apologist. So an apologist is simply an attorney for the defense of the claims that Christianity makes. God exists. Jesus is the Messiah. These are claims. A Christian apologist presents evidence to defend those claims. So in that context, my education, I've studied Islam extensively on the theological side. But I knew enough about terrorism, particularly in October 1993, 8 years before the World Trade Center attack. The first attack on the World Trade Center with the underground bomb, and it was unsuccessful. If the truck was moved a little bit, the building would have come down. So I knew pretty quickly that this was Islamic terrorism. So I went on a 5-year study rampage, studying everything I could about Islam, Islamic jihad, Islamic doctrine. Took courses, went to Florida Atlantic University, took courses on Middle East, took courses on Israel and everything. And I was I was building up like a balloon, those helium balloons that you keep filling and filling and filling. 5 years of all this stuff. I wanted to explode. Sort of how I feel right now, ironically. The culmination of all of that was to start an organization originally called the Florida Security Council, and started that to equip Floridians to defend themselves against Muslim attacks, because the thinking was there's going to be more in the world than in the United States. So started out as the Florida Security Council. Remember those early days, Alan?
Oh, yes.
That's a quick background. Got any questions? Otherwise, I'll pick it up the timeline and come right to here.
Go back to the oven! You need a big oven! That's what you need!
So, Tom, that was one of your early interviews, or from the street live, when the Israelis were holding a rally in Fort Lauderdale, and across the street there were some Islamists who were protesting, and the Religion of Peace had one of their Islamic members go out into the middle of the street where you happened to be filming and was yelling, "Go back to the oven." I knew then that you were a man who of conviction, and you were unafraid. You would go right into the den of the teeth and really challenge these people. And we still have that clip from, what was it, 2010, 2011?
It was December 30th, 2008. It was Operation Cast Lead. It was a operation by the Israelis against Islamic Jihad and against the Hamas in Gaza. Gaza was firing their typical Katyusha rockets and everything else. And the Israelis launched Operation Cast Lead and started kicking their ass. And all the Muslims were going nuts in the United States, having rallies and all this. So I heard there was going to be a Palestinian rally on a significant corner in downtown Fort Lauderdale. So I took my son, who Alan knows him very well. He's a rock and roller, so he doesn't look anything like, a conservative Trump supporter or Bush supporter in those days. And I actually have Jewish and Arab blood. I'm Sicilian, but I have Jewish and Arab blood. So I get mistaken for either an Israeli or a Palestinian or whatever. So we go into the crowd, and we were on the American side. Alan West was there. Joyce, what's her name? The talk show host. How can I forget? She's my good friend. Joyce, the talk show host. About 25 older people with American flags, Israeli flags on one corner, and 300, I counted them, 300 wild-eyed, military-age men with a bunch of women thrown in there, all breathing fire and hatred and venom. And we walk through that crowd, and Alan has done this so many times. You kind of just become part of the environment, and you can't show any fear because they sense that. And you could be. I'm always very, very concerned. Very concerned. But you can't show that. And so we're walking through there, and you could see the intensity is increasing. And then guess what happened?
What?
A henna dyed red bearded imam calls everybody to the evening prayer, and they all line up and they start doing their evening prayer. It was getting a little dark, and they start doing the prayer, and I'm watching this, and I'm watching evil be birthed. You could see evil being birthed. The intensity of the rote prayer and the replication of the words and the cadence and the increased tone. And I'm getting goosebumps just remembering it. I'm going, to myself, this don't look good. There's about 2 cops there, 2 Fort Lauderdale cops. So I go over to the cops and I tell them, go get some help. This ain't looking good. There's going to be problems. So they actually called other cars. And when the imam finishes and they start all their Allahu Akbar, Takbir, Allahu Akbar, Takbir, Allahu Akbar, I go, oh, God. And then they start marching across the street. I jump in front of them and start taping, and Alan West is there, and he's standing, and then I'm standing, he's standing confronting them. I'm standing like as their friend, like, oh, brother, come on, brother. You don't want to do this, brother. Come on. You know, I start playing their role to push them back. A couple of the older guys see what I'm doing. They start pushing them back. Alan's armed. I may or may not have been armed, but, you know, what are you going to do? There's 300 people there. And finally the police come out en masse, put lines between everybody. They were going to destroy, they were going to harm the 25 elderly people that were on the corner with the Israeli flags. And I went home, saw that footage, stayed up all night. I had put up quite a few videos, you know, 5,000, 10,000, whatever. I cut this thing together. It was originally 9 minutes. And I'm not an editor. I'm not a Mark Campbell editor, but I knew a little bit of what I was doing. We put it up late that night. My daughter gets up in the morning. She goes, Dad, you're not going to believe this. I said, what? This thing has 200,000 views. I said, what? And it just went wild. It played either all of it or parts of it, particularly the ovens part, has played millions upon millions upon. Hey, look, if I got a penny for every time that thing played, I wouldn't be driving a 1998 Toyota Camry, you know. So that was, and let me tell you what happened next. I was on my way to Europe. I was going to The Hague to interview Geert Wilders, and I was going to Paris to a rally, a pro-Palestinian rally. But the next weekend after that, all the Israeli and Christians and Jews decided to hold a rally in Miami. Alan, did you come down for that Miami rally?
No, I missed that one.
All right. Well, we had a rally at the Miami Convention Center, 2,000 of us, and the police had everything roped off with fenced off with the portable fencing where everybody was going to stand, and none of them showed up, 0. So we're all holding rallies, and then we hear there's 200 of them at the Israeli consulate in downtown Miami. So a bunch of the more aggressive Israeli Jews and Christians said, let's go there. And I'm going, this ain't a good idea, you know, this ain't a good idea. So I go with my son-in-law, my son. I had an old van. I parked it. My van got towed because I didn't see the no parking sign. But we go out to where the picket was, you know, the protest in front of the consulate, and there's a handful of Jews and Christians, and all, you know, 200 Palestinians, and they're riding Rolls Royces around, and it was getting bad. It was getting bad. You could see there's going to be confrontation, and I'm standing there taping, and I was so concerned because I went over on the Muslim side again. I was so concerned that I would be identified because that video had gone viral. I got identified. Somebody comes up to me and goes, you're the guy with that video. I don't know what you're talking about. I know there's going to be trouble now. So I go to a cop. There's one cop there. I said, look, you got to go get people. This is bad. There's going to be trouble. The cop says, everybody's at the Dolphin game. They all took that duty. I'm here alone. I said, you better go get help. This place is going to explode. Now, 5 minutes later, this Jewish kid who was one of these Jewish kids that were raised as a little soft baby by their parents, never thrown into the world. You know, I mean, I'm a Christian. We have these kids too. But this kid was but he saw that there were a bunch of tougher people around him on his side. So he goes and picks a fight with a Muslim, throws a punch. A Muslim throws him on the ground, and all hell breaks loose. My son-in-law is 6'5", 220, spent time on vacation behind bars. He's a street fighter. He's picking up Muslims, throwing them through the air, throwing them on the ground. I got this video going. I don't want to get in a situation where guy with video causes a riot and then the video loses its strength. So I grabbed my son-in-law and my son. I go, let's get out of here. And 15 people got arrested, 14 Muslims, one non-Muslim, in a total riot that broke out that day. So the religion of peace, what can I tell you? But this, if you've ever been in a street fight, all that tension, it just takes one person to throw that one punch, and that kid threw the punch. He was wrong. It would have happened anyway, but this Jewish kid started it, and we rescued him. We got him out of there. He would have got the crap kicked out of him. So that was 2 weeks in 2008. That's how many years ago? 16 years ago. Unbelievable.
Wow.
14 years
let's
ago.
fast forward. Let's fast forward to 2022. We have another national security type issue, which you are right in the middle of, involving our southern border. And would you say that President Biden's open border policies that have allowed, recently reported within the last 24 hours, 2 million illegal aliens into our country, would you say that that is a national security threat, and why?
Well, if you're a Democrat, no, it's a great voter registration drive, and that's really what it is. And they don't even make, they don't try to hide it anymore. The Marxist policies of the Democrat Party have failed. So there's a scorch to burn the southern border, bring in huge numbers, and count on 10, 20, 30% being converted to Democrat voters within 5 years or so, legally or illegally. And that percentage of a couple of million people throws, if you position these people in the right precincts, throws the precinct, the area, the state over on the Democrat equation in the electoral calculus, and you now have solidified a Democrat won victories, local, state, and national levels for probably a lifetime. So you just need the right amount of people in the right places, and you got it. Damn the torpedoes. Who cares if the country people have to pay more taxes, all of that. So we, on the side of the rule of law, say this is a national security crisis at so many different levels, from the jihad level to the sexual exploitation of 5-year-old kids, which we have documentation for. I don't know if we can win this battle before it's too late, but we will die trying, that's for sure.
And that's part of the genesis of defendtheborder.org and the Tom Homan project.
Yeah, what we did, as you know, Alan, you've been with us all these years. We looked at the next couple of years, and we said, how could now the United West, we had a name change from the Florida Security Council to a name that was more indicative and descriptive of what we do. It's a global battle. We're trying to unite the West, which is falling apart, unite the West against Islamic jihad and the obvious Marxist elements within Islam or outside Islam that are joining with Islam. And for the record, I heard the term Islamist. I don't use the term Islamist because I don't know any serious Islamic scholar or theologian that would use the term. Islamic propagandists obviously will use Islamists to distinguish a group of bad Muslims from the bad doctrine of Islam, but I try to get my direction and base my analysis of Islam on the language of Islamic scholars and Islamic theologians, and all the ayatollahs and imams that are fighting the jihad. They don't use the term Islamist. I know Daniel Pipes tries to do all kinds of gymnastics, and Sudi Jasser. Islam is a system. The system has jihad in it. Some Muslims follow it. Thank God most don't. The ones who do are national security risk. The doctrine itself is a national security risk to the West. So we're analyzing what we can do, the United West, and we said this border issue will resonate intellectually and emotionally with voters, particularly in 2024. If we want to win the Senate, Congress, and the White House, we need to go on an issue that is visceral, that you can see it every day, you can smell it, you can hear it, you can feel it. And when you see that border, even if you're in the comfort of your living room, and military-age men with tattoos on their necks coming and walking across laughing with iPhones, you know inside something's not right. So we grabbed on that issue and said this issue is a winning issue to persuade Americans to vote for elected officials who will defend the border and save lives. This is what Tom Homan believes. We hooked up with him. We're telling his story, and he is part of our team. And so far, and I have no reason to believe the next 2 years will continue, it's been a phenomenally successful campaign. We're growing and growing and growing, and we're going to have major influence in 2024 in the United States on this issue.
Tom,
Vito?
Yeah, there's on your website, defendtheborder.org. There is a video of a Liz Yore, who's being interviewed by I can't remember, Steve Bannon. She brings up a very chilling number. She said 14,000 unaccompanied illegal minors are coming into the United States on a monthly basis from over 100 countries from around the world, not just Mexico or Guatemala. In the state of Illinois alone, it costs $1.5 billion to care for 22,000 children that are in state custody. So what should we be concerned about with regards to the trafficking of children that's being allowed under the Biden-Harris regime?
Yeah, great question, Vito. The issue, the border, you think it's one issue, the border. The border is simply a physical line on the ground that distinguishes one country from another. You could bring in any level of evil, and what you're identifying now is one of the most horrendous forms of evil, the exploitation of children. But jumping for a second to the cartels, I talked to a Border Patrol agent 2 days ago, and the cartels are in such wars where they're basically jihadis. They're jihadis without their Allah. Their paradise is money here and now. But they will cut your head off. They'll behead you. They'll cut your body up. They'll throw you in a meat grinder, in one of those tree cutter machines. They'll do whatever to win, to get the money. They're ruthless. They're fighting each other now for control of those 14,000 kids. The way it works is very simple. The short answer is the Biden administration has lost control of many of the children where they don't know where they are, and they're allowing unaccompanied minors because somebody will cross the border with 2 kids. I saw a video the other day of a bunch of kids, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, sedated so that they can't say, this isn't my mother, this isn't my father. They get over, and then they get placed somewhere else, and before you know it, they disappear into the fabric. But you can come into the United States saying it's your kid. There's no documentation. They lost all their paperwork. They left not Guatemala. They left Iran. There's Iranians coming. There's Ukrainians coming. They left. They lost all their paperwork. They're asking for asylum because we have to grant asylum for political prisoners. And there's no forensic testing. There's no metric testing of any sort. So now you got a guy with 2 kids. He says they're his kids, and he is going to sell those kids at some point, or they're going to get lost in the system. People don't realize it. Well, our media that will start coming out, you'll be seeing actual stories of all of this being told. It's very, very, very sad and sad and bad.
Hello. Kamala Word Salad Harris was on Meet the Depressed yesterday with Chuck Todd, and she stated that our borders are secure. You got any comment about Word Salad Harris's comments? And since she's the border czar, wouldn't she know?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, Chuck Todd, I didn't see that episode. Maybe I taped it. Oh no, wait, I didn't tape it. That's right. Maybe the other 2 viewers taped it, and I can find it somewhere. Oh no, nobody taped it. That's right. Nobody watches Chuck Todd, but you, I guess, Vito, you watched it. Or you saw it somewhere.
I saw a clip. I couldn't watch it.
I don't really think that. Yeah, you'll get the nitwit, pro-abortion, gay rights women who just think Kamala Harris is Saint Kamala. But you don't have to be a serious thinker. Any legitimate university student is trying to learn. No one takes Kamala Harris seriously. She's dopey on the face. She's not a smart person. She's goofy. When he asked her, because I saw that same piece, when he said, and he challenged her a little bit, I said, "Oh, Chuck's got a little bit of balls here. Can you tell me the border is secure?" And then she starts what you described accurately, her word salad. Well, the security of a secure border is having the sense of security that we know it's secure, and she starts all that stuff, and she has been invited 10 million times by border officials in all 4 border states to literally really come down there and spend a couple of days like Alan and I did, embedded with a sheriff in one of the border states and go see what was really going on. I'm not the vice president. Alan's not the vice president, but one of the sheriffs, Mark Daniels, Cochise County, Arizona, took us as VIPs, showed us all around. I got his phone number. I'm sure I can get Kamala hooked up with Mark Daniels. She does not want to go because it's a gigantic embarrassment to them, but it shouldn't be. We know this is a voter registration drive for the next 2 years for the Democrats. We know that. So she should just say, look, we're trying to take care of people. We believe they'll become good Democrat voters. And that's all. I don't need to go to the border. I just need to let more people in. She should say that. She'd probably get more credibility.
That was good.
You mean the truth?
Probably, look, it's very, very difficult. Vito and Alan, maybe when 9/11 first hit, except for the truthers. The Jews took down the Trade Tower, bombs were inside and all that stuff. Except for them, you could have a serious conversation on a logical basis with a leftist, with somebody in the Democrat Party, for 47 seconds before they went off the rail. Now, I'm a pretty good communicator. I have a hard time getting 10, 15, 18 seconds in before they tell me to go F myself because I'm a racist. When I ask them a question, like, do you think the border's secure? F you, you're racist, right? They have abandoned not only the basis for how to think, they've abandoned thinking. And, I was talking to a 14-year-old kid today, a friend of my kid, and they were relating to me a story in school. 14 years old now, freshman. The teacher was saying who's going to phys ed gym class, and they asked this one 14-year-old girl, and she responded, I don't have to go to gym class. I'm non-binary. And the class started laughing, which I'm sure they'll get ridiculed for. But you have a 14-year-old girl saying she's non-binary. She doesn't have to go to gym. If I have a background in philosophy and thought. If you take that, apart from its humorous level, and you deconstruct what's going on in that girl's head, the family's head, you have the essence of a broken political party, the Democrat Party. And when you give the authoritative control of the U.S. government to the hands of broken political thinkers, you get the chaos and destruction we're living in right now. And it's bad.
So what solution do you see on the horizon, if any?
Nuke them all, let God sort them out. Oh, wait. Oh, no, we can't do that. That was going around.
Well, according to Vice President Harris, according to Vice President Harris, the solution is a pathway to citizenship bill, and that is her solution, and that is getting traction.
Well, the real solution I got from Pathway to Citizenship, the real solution to the cultural problem, I got from a rabbi, not a rabbi, but an Orthodox Jewish friend of mine who got in a lot of trouble with the U.S. government, Jack Abramoff, a casino jack, back with some of the crazy dealings in the Republican lobbyists, K Street lobbyists. I was sitting with them in L.A., invited him to come with me to Israel. He couldn't because he was out on parole from his federal crimes of defrauding and all that. And while he was in prison, he had a lot of time to reflect religiously. And we're talking about the same thing we're talking about now, the demise of Western civilization, particularly in America. And he said to me, he goes, I only see one solution, Tom. He goes, you guys got to have, and when by you guys, he meant evangelical Christians. He said, you Christians have to have a religious revival, and the half the country has to come to God to abandon their evil ways, and that you don't need laws or political principles or any of that. You will live by God's law, God's standard, and then things will improve. We saw this in the history of the Jews for 4,000 years. So that's the ultimate solution, according to Jack Abramoff, and I agree that there's a lot there. The immediate solution is twofold: grass tops and grassroots. Grassroots are the blue-collar men and women of America, recognizing that Thomas Jefferson and all his buddies, with all their foibles and failures, got it right as to how to construct a country. We've got to get back to the Republican principles and rule of law. So grassroots, we the people, got to get out, mobilize, vote, school board, the stuff we're hearing. Grass tops are the elected officials. We've got to put pressure on elected officials to follow the principles of Jefferson. We believe the issue of the border crisis over the next 2 years will serve as an educational palette on which we can paint a variety of ways for all Americans to get engaged and to try to save this country through the gateway of the border issue. And that's what we're going to do. So go to defendtheborder.org. We've got the whole story there, what we're doing, what we're about. And join with us, sign up. We'll be in touch. And we'll show everybody how they can get involved and come on a wild 2-year ride and have a blast saving America. We can do it, actually. When I said earlier, I don't know if we can do it in time. If we can get our plan and some other plans going, then we can slow the destruction at the border, the chaos, till 2024 when we change administrations, or even 2022. We get the House and the Senate, we can defund, slow this down a lot, or fund the right people. But we need to take over the administration in order to get Trump, somebody like Trump, Tom Homan, back in there to secure the border. Tom Homan, I talked to him the other day, talked to him regularly. He says, I said, Tom, you get back, and he'd become the border czar under Trump if Trump got reelected, if he runs. That's what my guess is, the border czar. And he said, I said, how long, Tom? He goes, we need 30 days. 30 days, we'll get it secure again. Wow. I said, okay. And what they're going to do, they're going to go after Mexico and say, clean up your side or your economy's going to get blown up. The Mexican government will clean it up, and then he's going to give the border police complete control to turn people back. And there you go. Problem solved.
As it was before.
Yep, we had 2 years of a secure border. And we saved lives. All right, guys, I got to get going. I got a little human being in front of me here. Asking me to do homework.
All right. Well, Tom, thank you. Tom, that was a great interview. And everybody who's listening, please support Tom Trento, the United West, and defendtheborder.org. And defend Tom so he can help defend us and keep our republic whole and strong.
All right, thanks, guys. Love you. Keep up the great work. You guys have been there. How long now? 10, 12 years? How long have you been doing this?
14 years today, as a matter of fact.
Well, congratulations. I'm going to go smoke a cigar in the celebration of the great work you guys have been doing. I'm super impressed. Take it easy, guys.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for all you do.
Tom, thank you.
Be safe.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
All right.
All right, bye-bye.
That was great. Thanks, Al. That was Tom Trento of the United West and of defendtheborder.org. That's no S on the after border, so defendtheborder.org. And thanks, Al, too, for I'm reading Tom Homan's book, Defend the Border and Save Lives, by Tom Homan. It'd be nice one day to have him on as well after you're done reading his book. So